James sat alone in his small apartment. The city outside was full of noise, but inside, there was only silence. His laptop was open, but the screen was blank. The words would not come. James was a writer. Or at least, he used to be. Now, his ideas felt dry, his mind empty. Every day was the same: coffee, staring at the screen, going to bed with nothing written. One night, rain poured outside. The sound was steady, like a heartbeat. James looked out the window. The streets were wet and empty. Then, he heard it. A bark. It was small, weak. It came from the alley behind his building. James hesitated. It was cold, and he didn't want to go outside. But the barking came again. He felt a tightness in his chest. Then, he grabbed an umbrella and went downstairs. In the alley, under a broken box, a puppy shivered. Its fur was wet and dirty. Its eyes were big and scared. James knelt down. "Hey, little guy," he said softly. The dog didn't move. James reached out his hand. Slowly, the puppy sniffed his fingers. Then, it took a small step forward. James sighed. "Yeah, I guess you're coming with me. I can't leave you here." Back in the apartment, James dried the dog with a towel. He found an old bowl and poured some water. The dog drank quickly, then looked up at him. James smiled. "What am I going to do with you?" he asked. The dog wagged its tail, just a little. James chuckled. That night, James didn't feel alone. He fed the hungry little puppy and kept him warm. Then, he watched as the puppy slept on the floor, its tiny chest rising and falling. The apartment was still silent, but it felt different. Softer. Warmer. Days passed. James bought food and a small bed. He called the dog Buddy. Buddy followed him everywhere. When James sat at his desk, Buddy lay at his feet. When James made coffee, Buddy watched, tilting his head. At night, Buddy curled up near the couch. James started writing again. At first, just a few words. Then, paragraphs. Then, pages. He wrote inspired by his own life, a lonely man who found a dog in the rain. He wrote about how that little creature changed his life. The story flowed. One morning, James woke up to find Buddy staring at him. "What is it?" he asked. Buddy barked, ran to the door, and looked back. James frowned. "You want to go out?" Buddy wagged his tail. James had stayed inside for months. But now, because of this little puppy, he had to go out every day. They walked to the park. The air was crisp, fresh. Buddy ran through the grass, full of energy. James watched him and smiled. A woman sitting on a bench looked up. "Nice dog," she said. James nodded. "Thanks." She looked at Buddy, then back at James. "You don't look like a dog person." James laughed. "I wasn't. He found me." She smiled. "That's how it happens." James sat down beside her. They talked about dogs, books, and life. It had been a long time since James talked to someone new. And it felt good. That night, James wrote more than ever before. His fingers danced on the keyboard. He didn't stop, not even for coffee. The words poured out like rain. When he finished, he looked down. Buddy was asleep at his feet. James reached down and gently stroked his fur. "Thank you, Buddy," he whispered. The little dog stretched, sighed, and kept sleeping. James closed his laptop. He turned off the light. Outside, the city was still loud. But inside, the silence was no longer empty. It was filled with love. If you enjoyed the story, please like and subscribe.